Hey, it's Mariah,
It's Jess.
and we're the Karate Gals.
Gals.
Oh
Okay.
boy.
Zoom does not sync up, my friends.
Oh no.
No.
Oh
That
no.
was it was like an echo.
Hey, there's a chick on my app.
Right, I'm just saying women aren't meant to fight. You have tiny, hollow bones.
Don't you think you're doing a lot of genderizing?
What?
Don't be a pussy. Join Cobra Kai.
I was a natural cobra.
Welcome, guys. What's up? Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
I'm really excited to dive into some of the nitty-gritty of Cobra Kai with you guys.
Yes, it's going to be so fun. I'm excited to get into detail with you.
I want to let's start it right off the bat. What your thoughts, season 3, predictions, season 4. Let's get into that stuff first.
Okay, Jess, you want to go first with that?
Sure. Season 3 was in and of itself very wild. Like, I thought season 2, like the finale of season 2 was crazy as itself, but I never thought it could go from there. But season 3 is honestly my favorite season that like this far because it has so much depth, it has so much redemption, and it has a lot of emotion in it. And I think every character developed in their own way, and yeah, it's amazing, and I can't wait to see what happens in season 4. But yeah, what about you, Mariah?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much summed it up. I loved all like the character development. That was super cool. How each character, had their own growth, had their own pace. I thought Hawk's like redemption was everything. I was rooting that on. But yeah, like each character just had their own growth, and I really looked up to that and how I could personally relate to some of it, and it was so intense, so epic. The fight scenes were just everything. But yeah, so it was really good, and yeah, it's probably my favorite so far too.
I would agree. I think it's my favorite season, and in a word, relatable. I feel like every character, everything that they were going through, at least a piece of it, I could take away something that I related to in my own life and saw in myself. And it was just so character driven, and I love that. I'm a sucker for a redemption arc. So
Yeah.
and I just love like my list of favorite characters like shifted so drastically, and so like I was so rooting for Robbie so hard through like season 1 and like half of season 2, and then like it completely shifted, and like I'm just like this huge Hawk stan now. I love redemption arcs, and
Yeah.
that's why Johnny's like my number 1 character. Like he's always gonna be my favorite because every time something goes wrong for him, like he just grows so much from it. And then it's the same reason Barney Stinson is my favorite How I Met Your Mother character. Like, he just has the best arc. I love it, and I don't think there's an explanation for it other than like a good story.
Yeah, a good story is
Totally agree.
everything.
Totally agree. I have a question for you. Are you Team Miyagi-Do or Cobra Kai or Eagle Fang now?
Okay, so when I was growing up, I mean, obviously, like I watched movies when I was really, really little. I watched them when I was like 4 years old, which is what got me into karate. And I always thought I was like super Miyagi-Do because I felt like the style of karate I was learning was it was very defense first. And it was just like it was so amazing. So and obviously like you're rooting for Daniel and the Karate Kid. So I was always very Miyagi-Do. And then as I grew up, even before Cobra Kai came out, when I would rewatch the movies, there were a lot of pieces of Cobra Kai karate that I felt like I took into my life of like being badass, like striking first, like taking things for yourself and not letting things come to you. And that's kind of what I took from Cobra Kai. So now that there's like an Eagle Fang where Johnny's kind of sitting somewhere in the middle, like I feel like that's kind of where I fall at this point, which is so funny because I always thought I was a Miyagi-Do, but now there's something in between that kind of fits me a lot better.
Yeah, and that's what's so magical about it is that there's like that in between, you know, like, and that's where like Johnny is right now, like you said, with his character. And yeah, it's totally understandable. It's great.
Yeah, I love that answer.
What about you guys? Where do you fall?
You know, I gotta stick with Miyagi though. But you know, I have some faith for Eagle Fang. I think we're gonna do good. But you know, I gotta stick with my Miyagi though.
I respect that.
Yeah.
What about
Um,
you?
I'd say I'm kind of in the middle between still being Cobra Kai and Eagle Fang because I love Johnny. Like I've always like since the first season, I love Johnny. Just everything, his arc, like you were saying. He was just I loved his development as a character and as a person, and I like his mindset that he has. Like you know, like you can still be badass, but you don't need to be a bully. Like you don't need to be that.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's like, yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly, but also I'm like, I don't know, like, also it's like the strike first kind of thing mentality for life, as you were saying, with Cobra Kai. So I'm leaning more towards Eagle Fang, but I'm also kind of like still have Cobra Kai in me. But yeah,
Okay.
it's conflicting.
I have faith for
awesome.
Eagle Fang. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. And I do like what you're saying, like with that strike first mentality, because that's really important. Because in life, if you want something, you gotta strike first for it. But it just, you know, depends on the situation. But you also gotta be humble about it. But yeah, Eagle Fang's pretty cool. Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting when they merge Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do. I feel like that's really going to be where I fall once they figure that out. Like once they kind of find their line, that'll be for me. I don't know what they're going to name it. Everybody's throwing out such stupid names because Eagle Fang is such a stupid name. It's so stupid and it's so Johnny, and that's why it's so funny.
Yeah.
They need a new name.
Yeah,
I've been hearing, what have I been hearing a lot? Miyagi Fang. That's what I meant to, like, that's what I meant by earlier. Like when I say Eagle Fang, I meant like Miyagi Fang. I have faith for that.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how their relationship's gonna handle working together because they've never worked together like they've tried but it never works out. So I'm interested to see how it's gonna go with the teams merging and everything. So
there's bound to be some arguments, but
for sure. They are polar opposites in so many ways, but they're also so similar. And both of those things just make for butting heads. Like but Billy and Ralph's chemistry is just so good. Every single scene where they're fighting is like, those are my favorite scenes in the show.
Yeah. Because like in real life, like they're so like they get along, and then like you go on screen and then it's LaRusso versus Lawrence, and it's just the chemistry is there.
Totally random story, but we rented a car. I just went to Puerto Rico recently with one of my friends. We were renting a car and we tried to use the car phone, and for some reason it wasn't working. And so I was sitting in the passenger seat and we were trying to talk to my friend's mom, and I literally had to lean all the way over to get her to hear me. And I was like, I feel like Johnny right now, but it was like so realistic.
Yeah. Oh, the car scenes were everything. I could not stop laughing at
the cornets.
Watching season 3 together the whole day. We just spent doing that. Oh, that was gold.
Yeah. It's so gold. It's like, it's so cringy, but it's so funny. And like, as Johnny's throwing up the cornet, you're like, oh, every time. You're like, you know that's just gonna fall.
You can like see the tension.
Oh yeah, and it brought about my favorite Amanda scene too. When she's talking on the phone with them, the way she just treats it like it's this big joke. She has become one of my favorite characters because she's so removed from like 84 and all the karate stuff that she's like this voice of reason, and she does it in such like a sarcastic way.
Yeah, her sense of humor is everything. I love Courtney does that.
Courtney. I love
Courtney's amazing. And I think it's because she's from like around where I'm from. Like she lives on Long Island, and it's just a very Long Island way of approaching things, of being like super sarcastic about everything. And so I'm like, I relate to you, girl. I get you.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. And the slap though, I was like, That was amazing. And then
I was like yelling at her. I was like, Courtney, that was
go
amazing.
for it, girl. Like, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. It
She
was
had so much energy and like so much input, I feel like, into this season more than the other ones, because I feel like she just especially at the tournament in the middle of the season when they're trying to get the tournament to come back on, she had a lot of fire in this season, I think.
Yeah, she like stood up like for herself. She like brought it on this season. I was just rooting for her on the whole time.
Oh yeah, I
She
think
did so amazing.
she did absolutely amazing. I think all the girls in this season just were standouts for me. I feel
Oh
like
yeah, it was a girl power season. I loved it.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I finally felt really relatable. Like Sam felt really relatable to me finally, and I feel like that was what I was struggling with her character. Like she was kind of like sitting in the middle of like my list. Sorry, my dog is
Don't worry about it.
being really loud. But she's sitting like in the middle of my list, and I finally feel like she's moved way up because like she is starting to take some responsibility for her actions. I feel like she's starting to learn and find herself a little bit more. I think when she was going through all the teen girl like love triangle drama and she was like, oh, everybody wants to be with me, I don't know what to do, like I was not feeling her. And now like I relate to her so much more than I ever did.
Yeah, and like like the character like development this season was just so cool. And personally, that was like definitely one of my favorite character moments because like playing her a lot, it's like, okay, well, wow, you could work with that and make that relatable to you, which is such a big part of acting, is relating that character to you and how you would portray it. So yeah, that character development was amazing, and I definitely think for a lot more girls, she's just so much more relatable now. So it's really nice.
Yeah. What's it like getting into that character? Like, do you get into a certain headspace when you're acting like her out?
Yeah. So how do I even describe it? Like sometimes I just take a second. I'm like, okay, like think of like the previous moment and like where you are right now. Think about like what you're going through or this character's going through. But when you say like this character, you make yourself that character. So you say like yourself. Think about like what you're going through right now and how you're handling it, and you just have to get into that mentality. And sometimes it's pretty easy for me to snap into it because I just personally relate to Sam, but which is a lot easier for characters you relate to. But you just kind of got to get in that mental mode, and then you just kind of got to take a breath and just flow into it. That's pretty much the best way I can describe it. But
Yeah, and I can't imagine what getting into Tori's character is like.
It's kind of like the same thing that Mariah said. It's all about getting into that mentality, even though I'm like personally like I relate more to Johnny than I do to Tori. So Tori, like certain aspects of my life I relate to and stuff. So I kind of bring those aspects out and just kind of direct it all into like one sort of mindset. And again, like thinking towards what situation is this? If I was in her shoes, what would I be doing? If like, oh,
you just kind of get to that different world, and sometimes it's easier than others. It depends on who you're playing.
Do you ever connect to like a memory that makes you really angry or really angsty?
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
That's a huge part of acting, is sometimes you like relate it to yourself, and like when have I gone through like this mental state, and that's what a lot of that helps you get into that. So
especially for Tori, that is a huge thing. I just getting into that mentality of, oh, I had this situation in my life, I had this, and then just again like honing it all into like one mentality just to express it. And it's wild, but it's fun.
It's so fun. Like when you're in character, like we've done like Sam and Tori before, we'll just be like, we're like walking up to each other like, I'm ready to fight you. Like it's so fun. Just like when you're in character and just ready to be on set and do all that. It's so fun.
I love that so much. I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the love square triangle thing that's going on with at first it was a love triangle and it was like Sam, Robbie, and Miguel, and now Tori's involved.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Playing those characters, I feel like you probably have strong feelings about who they're ending up with.
You know, we were on a live stream yesterday and we were talking about that, and I was just like, it's so complicated. Like with Sam with Miguel, but I also want Sam to be with Robbie, and like it's just there's so many torn feelings and like different connections with both of them, and like it's so hard. But I definitely don't need Tori on Robbie because he can do so much better. Not like, please, just not Tori. But it's so complicated.
I think he needs someone that's gonna make him a better person right now, not someone that's gonna bring out like the dark aspects of him.
Yeah, I honestly think because I think they're going to get together in this aspect because I feel like they've had a lot of more connection over the past season, especially with like, juvie and probation, everything. Like they've been through the same sort of things, and I feel like they're gonna have a lot of connections with each other. So I feel like they're gonna possibly have more of a relationship in that aspect. And I honestly, for me at least, I think Sam and Miguel is a good couple. Like I think they jive well. They have like a good chemistry, and even like I know when they did the auditions for Cobra Kai, like they just had like a really good chemistry on the tape that they had, and yeah, I just agree that they just have a good connection with each other, and like they seem happy with each other. I feel like there was always sort of like this tension between Sam and Robbie if like someone's keeping a secret and everything. It was just kind of their relationship is just pure. I guess that's the best word to put to it, is they're just pure. So yeah, that's just what my take was on that.
I like that. I agree. I think Miguel, period, is just a pure soul. Like,
Yeah,
first season, like he just was like a little puppy, and I don't know. I view Miguel as like a little brother. Like I feel like he reminds me of my little brother in a lot of ways. Don't tell him that because he's not as worthy as Miguel was. I swear. Sorry, Nick. But I feel very like protective over Miguel, and I just think it's because he's such a pure soul, and he's so like
and Miguel's
easily,
and
totally.
Miguel's character growth, it's like you said, like he was just so innocent and pure, and then he started learning from Johnny, but Johnny was also learning the right way while also dealing with the way that he was taught by Kreese, which was the wrong way. And then Miguel got some of that, and he just got so confused, and then he was being taught by Kreese, and it was just a mess. And then he's finding his place again, and that's really good. But I know it's so complicated because
Johnny Miguel relationship is so beautiful too.
Oh, it's
like the fact that Johnny missed his chance with his son, and Miguel never had a dad, and that they found each other. It's like Daniel and Mr. Miyagi, but like the sitcom version.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, their relationship is amazing.
Yeah, I do feel bad for Robbie though. Like I really do. I really want this kid to stop going through all this torment. I don't know. Maybe Tori will be good for him in a way of like they'll be able to emotionally connect in a way that he and Sam couldn't, because there's so much going on in his head. I feel like, to have the parents that he had and go through living life, he basically was raising himself for 16 years. And I feel like people don't really remember that Johnny literally was not present in his life for the first 15, 16 years. Like he barely knew him. And so it's so weird to think that like he's not all of a sudden going to be like, okay, dad, like let's bond. Like there are these moments of them having that growth, but Daniel was really the first father figure for Robbie.
Yeah, and I think it's like, especially with this season, he's just very conflicted with his thoughts and feelings, because he feels like, oh, I trusted these people, I trusted you, but you betrayed me, just like my dad did, or whoever that he's had in his life, and he just feels abandoned. But I think when Kreese came, he felt like, oh, well, you accept me, you listen to me, I can trust you. So I feel like that was his last resort of going.
I am just like, no, right now.
We all know Kreese is just like pulling all these little strings.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard to watch because you feel so bad for these characters.
I know, because
Yeah.
you know he's gonna mess with them and then turn
Yeah.
him into what Miguel was turning into at that point, and it just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And
No.
I'm so conflicted about his relationship with Tori too, because
I
don't
agree.
think he really cares for anybody, but somehow it seems like he maybe has like a little soft spot for her, but I don't know, like you don't know why. It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
I think it might be with they have a similar situation with home life that he had with his mom and she has with her mom. So I think there might be a little bit with that. And also maybe he sees her as maybe a daughter or anything, but also you never know. Like his intentions are so
Oh, Kreese.
wild. Like you never know what he truly is gonna do, or you know something's gonna happen, but you don't know what it is gonna be. So
He's so manipulative. It's
Yeah.
so bad. And I actually was like showing one of my friends Cobra Kai for the first time. And so when he was first introduced to Kreese, and take for granted he only saw the first Karate Kid movie, he didn't see the other ones.
Okay.
So he's sitting there, and we're like midway through season 2, and he's like, I really want to see a Kreese like redemption arc. Like, why isn't Johnny giving him a second chance? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna stop you right there. I can't even hear this. I can't let you go through this. You're not gonna go through this heartbreak. Kreese is a bad dude. Just get over it. Like, he's a king manipulator. Everything you think he deserves, like, he does not deserve a second chance.
Yeah, he's so conflicted, like conflicting in his personality and everything. But within season 3, his backstory was so interesting to me. Like I loved watching that. It was so cool to see, like, why is he like this? What is his mindset?
It messed with my mind because it's like you see that and you feel bad for him, and then he does something totally horrible.
Yeah, like the next scene, it's like
I know, and I think you get that sense of like you saw who he was, and I feel like he was so similar to Daniel in a lot of ways, like at the beginning of the original movies, and then you saw him slowly break and like become the person that he is, and how it's like, you know, like the butterfly effect, like you step on one butterfly and everything changes, and so he just kept getting darker and darker, and like that good 18-year-old boy who is, you know, this good kid who wanted to do, is completely broken. Like he's dead. That the old Taylor is dead.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see how that, like, one little thing can affect your whole life. Like it's so wild and crazy, and I know like the war can do that also to a person in general, but just like the little things like his girlfriend dying and then his mom and like bullies, and I think just it added up and it got to a point where he just changed. So
did you know that Cobra Kai in some other languages like Sea of Cobras?
I didn't. That's really interesting.
that's cool.
Someone posted that somewhere on something, and I like looked it up. And so when you see the pit of snakes that he like fights over, and his commanding officer,
That's really interesting.
it literally means like Cobra Kai is Sea of Cobras. And so like his obsession with snakes, like you kind of finally figure out where that comes from.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
But
Yeah,
so I'm worried about Robbie because like I just want him to come back, but I don't want to see him falling in with the wrong crowd again and then seeing him just get torn apart. And it just hurts seeing him with Tori. I don't want to see that, but I mean, she better treat him good.
It hurts. It does hurt.
It hurts. Like it's like when you like being with Robbie and then seeing Miguel with Tori. It's just like the same thing, and it's so.
Tori's just a bad influence right now. Tori is
Yeah.
dark. But I love all the comparisons online to Robbie to Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Those are great because
Definitely.
at first they were doing that with Hawk. And that was like, they were talking about that. And now they're talking about it with Robbie because Hawk has had his redemption arc. So apparently someone has to become Darth Vader. Like, that's just where we're headed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually was brought up on the live stream that we had yesterday. Like, oh yeah, he's like the next Anakin Skywalker and Priestess Palpatine kind of thing.
He has the
Yeah, I had no idea what anyone was talking about though, because I'm personally not a Star Wars person. I'm sorry, but I was like, I had no idea what anyone was talking about. I was like, yeah.
That's okay. Star Wars, I feel like you have to get into when you're really young, or it doesn't take the same way. Like the same way I saw The Karate Kid at 4. Like my dad sat me down at probably 4 or 5 and was like, "This is a movie you need to see. This is important." And there's like a list of movies where he sat me down. He was like, "These are important. Like watch these." And it was like The Karate Kid, Star Wars, like Rocky. Good Will Hunting.
I have this huge Rocky poster on my wall with just like this best quote, like the one about the world ain't all sunshine and rainbow. It's a very mean and nasty place. I'm reading it right now. And I don't care how tough you are. It will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. It's about how much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how the winning is done. Like Rocky, love
Rocky. So good. My cross country coach used to send us Rocky quotes all the time. I'm like, we're running. We're not hitting anybody. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that made me so happy though. Rocky is so good. And I love how John Alvinson, he did that and Karate Kid. Like he was
they made a reference to it in Cobra Kai in season 1 when they were talking about fighting for fun with like Rocky and Apollo.
Yeah. And I was talking with Hayden one time, and this one was a really cool Rocky connection too. Like when Johnny's driving in the car with Head Games, coolest scene ever. But like it connects to that Rocky 3 scene where Rocky's like driving in the car. Like I was just like, that is so cool. Like I love all of like the different connections.
Yeah, there are so many references. I think like there's Star Wars references in there too. Like Sam has said something like, "You want me to use the Force or something?" Like they all the best like little references to other like nerdy shit that people are into. That are like staples of like American culture, I feel like.
I'm not into Star Wars at all, but Baby Yoda is very cute. I like him. I'm obsessed.
I love your shirt, by the way. I was gonna say that. I was like, I love your shirt.
The best Star Wars character. My favorite.
Yes.
And it used to be others, but Ahsoka is the most badass, and she's a girl. And she has a fantastic character arc. So favorite character by far.
Yes, I love her. Yeah, I love her character.
Yeah,
I like her and Rey. I love Rey.
I like Rey. I just like Ahsoka better.
I can see. Yeah, she's definitely has a really good character like development and everything. I love her character.
Yeah. Well, speaking of girls with really great character developments, I think one of my favorite scenes of season 3 was in the very first episode when Sam was sitting down with Daniel talking about like that the difference between when a guy gets into a fight, what the people's reaction is to it, and they think, oh, he's so badass, like he's so cool. And then when a girl gets into a fight, like people whisper about her, like she's crazy. And I thought that was so important to touch on. And then it comes up again with Tori when she sees Miguel outside the sushi restaurant. Like she's like, everybody thinks I'm crazy. That's okay. So what are your, thoughts on that? Like, I just thought it was so important for them to touch on.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's something that's so true. And I'm just so glad it was able to be addressed in season 3 with that. Cause like, it's true. Like, you see a guy get into a fight, like, okay, let's say like Rocky or whatever. And you're like, that is so cool. I want to be like him. Like, he's the cool guy or whatever. And then you'll see like girls fighting, for example, like girls wrestling or whatever. And you're like, oh, like those girls are like not doing what they're supposed to. Like, that's weird. Like, ew, they're crazy. Like, why do they have that much muscle? Like, this and that. And some people, it's gone better and some people appreciate it, which is good. But it's definitely just, like, I'm so glad it was addressed because it's so unfair. And it's the same, I'm just a girl. And I'm really glad it was addressed because, like, people do think, like, she's crazy and they talk behind your back and this and that. But when a guy does it, it's cool. And I just think that needs to be normalized. So I'm really glad it was addressed and that people could really think about that.
Yeah, I think it along the same lines as Mariah, but I also think it's like, oh, a guy's fighting, it's cool, but if a girl is fighting, then like it's seen as, oh, she's fighting back. Like usually you're supposed to just you know, submit or whatever to whatever situation it is. But when they fight back, they're like, oh, then it's very controversial. Like, if you know what I'm laying down, but it's like, it's a very touchy situation, but I'm really glad that they brought this up and made it, like, brought it to light, because it's a crazy world and it's, people need to learn how to, like, fight back for themselves and make it a normal thing and not be, discouraged to do it.
Not be judgmental about it, because self-defense is so important. You gotta defend yourself, especially being a woman these days,
Right.
or men or women, like both. But like, you gotta defend yourself. Like, you have to know that, and I think that's so important. And sometimes you'll need to defend others too, and that just needs to be normalized. So I'm really glad it was addressed because it's important.
I agree. I'm glad that they're kind of starting that conversation for people. And I know we've seen so many more female leads, like you just said, Rey is the lead of the new Star Wars trilogy. And they're just, we're seeing so many more females in prominent roles where they're powerful and that they're the star. So I guess a question that I have for you, because I know it was so different for me. When I was growing up and I was taking karate, it was pre people normalizing, women being in powerful roles and, being in violent roles, essentially.
Yeah.
So for you guys who have just recently kind of found karate as something, is it different for you? Because I know I experienced, like, my fair share of bullying and genderizing, and even, when I would be, like, doing, like, we would do, like, demonstrations and stuff, and, like, I would be doing, like, flips and splits and stuff, like showmanshipy stuff, and I wasn't always as involved in, like, all of the fighting aspects, even though I was one of the better fighters in my bracket, my age group.
Yeah. Like, it's still, like, because Jess is in Arizona, but we had been doing karate together, but like, she's in college now and stuff, so there's only, like, 3 girls in my class, including myself, and then the rest are guys. And I think part of it is that, like, some people just aren't into karate and stuff, but I just hope to see more in the future girls not being afraid, to, like, learn to stand up for themselves, and, like, not feeling they have to depend on someone else, like, that they can't do it. So that's what I kind of think about it. And, like, self-defense is so important. Like, that's my thing. And like, I'm proud to be a girl who can do that and is learning that, and can fight with a guy, like,
I'm sure you have so much confidence from that too. Like, I know I felt like a bad bitch walking around. Like, I would walk around, like, middle school, and I'd be like, yeah, you come for me. Like, I can take you. I can defend myself. And I got a little over the top about it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, some similarities between me and the Cobra Kai kid. But like, I felt bullied a lot because I was a tomboy throughout elementary school, and, like, I would rather wear my basketball shorts than, like, I didn't want to dress up as a fashionista for Halloween with, like, half the girls in the 6th grade. And being involved in karate, like, I felt so stable in that. I felt so confident in that I didn't have to conform to what they wanted, because I felt so secure. I was so dedicated to what I was doing, and I think that all came from karate. And then if I hadn't been doing that at that age and started that young, like I wouldn't have developed into the same person that I am.
Yeah, and what you just said, that is so true. Like,
Yeah.
don't be what people want you to be. You be who you are, and like, you know, like who cares if they judge? Like, you be who you are. You don't be who they want you to be. And like when you said that, like that is really important. And yeah, like a karate does teach you that. Like it has a sense of confidence. Like, yeah, I feel good. I can defend myself. Like I feel healthy. It gives you like that sense of self-care and like everything you said, like that's so true. Like self-discipline, this and that. Like it teaches you a lot of great life lessons that like life may take you down sometimes, but you just gotta fight back and get back up and you can defeat it. So it does get you into a better mentality and it gives you that sense of confidence and everything you just said, like that was gold.
There's so many instances of it too. Like I can think of a half a dozen examples of like times where something like that happened to me. Like I also play basketball, and so here on campus, like I'm a senior in college, and for 4 years I have been walking into the pickup courts as the only girl, and it had like I can proudly say that's never bothered me. I've always played in every single game that I wanted to play in, and I never backed away from anything. And I feel like a lot of the reason that I'm the only girl is there are girls that back away from that and they show up and they want to play, and then they see that it's there are only guys there and they walk away. Or like I'm also involved in like I study sports broadcasting as like a major, and there are like 3 girls in it with me, and it's so nice to like I don't feel like I have to prove anything, even though that's I think what a lot of people feel like when you're a woman in like sports, you feel like you have to prove something, and I'm like I got it. Like I don't have to prove anything to you people. I don't have to list off 8 players from the Giants 2007 roster just to prove to you that I know what I'm talking about when I talk about sports. Like I'm not going to do that because I know what I know. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel like if I hadn't been involved in martial arts, like it wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And like you said, like, oh, like it's okay if people don't want to do it, but like if you want to do it, like you shouldn't be afraid to hold back. And because that's where it comes into like I'm scared people are gonna think I'm crazy, for doing that. And people won't like me if I do this or this and that. And it's just you shouldn't be afraid. Like that's just something I'm glad is being addressed and that we can normalize is that like girls can fight too. They can do what they want without being judged.
Yeah.
I like that, Tori.
Yeah, I love that aspect of it, Tori, just going for it, and she doesn't care that people think she might be crazy or whatever, but she's fighting for what she believes in, and maybe sometimes it's not the right thing that that she's fighting for, but she personally believes that it's something that she needs to let out and deal with, and like she said in season 3 to Robbie, you need to channel all of those feelings and everything into just one thing. And I also from season 1 when Johnny was training Miguel and Aisha came in, he's like, oh, we don't train girls, we don't
Then Aisha
don't do
took him
karate.
down.
She took him down. So and then he's like, oh wow, maybe she can do karate, girls can do karate too. And then he started letting girls go into the class and everything. So
Yeah.
I think just one little action can change so many things. So
It only takes one person to stand up and say like I can do anything a guy can do. I can come in here and kick guys' asses if I want to. And you see it like throughout the seasons, slowly and slowly, even like the extras in the background, there are more girls now in like that are playing other students. So it shows that Johnny is letting more and more girls in, and even Kreese is letting girls be in Cobra Kai because I honestly don't think he cares. Like he just wants someone who's gonna be no mercy all the time. It doesn't matter to him.
He went after Tori because he's like, yeah, you're a born fighter. You need to we need you on this team. And no one's like you. Like you have that fire in you. You have that confidence, and he's gonna use it for the wrong reasons, obviously. But
Which that is something I do appreciate about Kreese though, because when you do go into his backstory, like he defended Betsy, Betsy, and like he has that defense for women because he knows how they've been treated over time, and that's something I do appreciate about him.
Yeah, definitely.
His one shining light, his one redemption.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also with Terry, when he saved his life, he was like, "No, I'll go. I'll do this." But yeah, I think that was also one other thing. But yeah, again, he just that situation. He was like, "Oh, this guy or whoever she was renting from, I'm not gonna let her mess with her or anything." Like, so I think he had some soft spot for Tori in that aspect.
What do we think is going to happen to Tori, like, in the coming seasons? Like, a lot of people want to see her have a redemption arc, but I think that's so far off.
Yeah. I think the mentality that she's in right now, I think she's still going to be pretty close with Cobra Kai. And if there's there might be like a drastic change in season 4. We just don't know like everything that's going to happen within it. Like, you know, Terry could show up and like maybe she doesn't like him, or like she's like, oh, like this is getting crazy, like, or she just like goes along with the ride. She's like, oh, this is getting better, like I love this. And I think she's gonna help Tanner, or not Tanner, Robbie.
Robbie. Like, oh, sorry, no.
Sorry. Robbie, kind of through the Cobra Kai routine and everything. So I think that she's gonna be, if anything, it's gonna be a while for her to change unless something totally drastic happens within the season. But
yeah, and I'm totally not a theory person, but I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah, I like to really overthink things. So I wouldn't say I'm a theory person, but I'm definitely an overthinker. Like, I feel like at the end of season 1, when Daniel opened Miyagi-Do, like, my first thought was, how the hell is Amanda going to respond to this? Is she going to be okay with this? He's not going to be able to balance everything. Like,
yeah.
And all those questions were answered for me, but I was panicking for Daniel and Amanda's relationship prior to it even, like, happening.
Yeah.
So I'm just an overthinker. I'm a little in my head.
Too. Yeah, I definitely feel that. I felt that for season 3, the finale with that, like,
oh my god,
the finale gives me like
chills. Yeah, it's so good. I'm like, oh, but also like knowing that Kreese is calling, we think it's Terry. I'm like, when Daniel sees him, he's gonna like shut down or something. Like, I'm just looking out for him in that.
I recently rewatched the scene where Terry like reveals his plan to Daniel in part 3, and like Kreese pops out from behind the statue. He's like, ah!
I wonder if they're gonna do that again. But it's Terry.
No, that would be gold.
Hysterical laughing. Like, I want to see Terry do that now. Like, out of nowhere, and because like, yeah, Johnny was like a great like foil to Daniel, but Terry and Mike Barnes were like truly villainous. Terry Silver is just
he's scary.
He's a scary dude, and like the fact that he has zero reason to dislike Daniel in part 3, like when he first meets him, like there's no reason other than like Kreese being like, I hate him, like let's get back at him. Like,
literally the whole movie.
I got you, bro. Like, I'm gonna like mind F him, and I'm gonna terrorize him for literally for fun.
Yeah,
he's so amazing about that.
You think
so disturbing.
Yeah,
so crazy.
You think that Kreese is manipulative? Like Terry is insane. Like, just I don't know where he gets all the ideas, and he's just. I want to know what like changed him into that. Like,
we need a Terry Silver.
Yeah, we need a backstory for him.
That should be one of the spin-offs that they're thinking of doing.
Yeah.
Like, Terry Silver between the end of part 3 and like you know, he goes into season 4. Probably.
Yeah, like before, like his upbringing and everything.
what
Like,
happened to him after the war? Like, where, how did
yeah,
he,
like where I know they like started a karate club at like in the army, and Kreese trained a bunch of men, and that was like the first Cobra Kai class, and they all got tattoos, which we haven't seen the tattoo on like forever. I don't know if it was all arms or everything, but yeah, it was kind of like a brotherhood. I'm wondering where those people are too. Like I'm like, oh, there's other people that were in that group, so I'm like wondering, but we never met them, so I don't know if it had the same impact.
yeah,
But
there's such a rich backstory there that can be in its entirety like a whole other series.
yeah,
But I
definitely.
think, like I've said in my like season 4 predictions, like the place where I want Kreese to end up is jail. And I think the place Terry Silver needs to end up is a freaking mental institution. Like he needs help. There is something like psychologically not okay with him. And for some reason that is so like interesting to me and so appealing. Like I love like crime podcasts and stuff too. Like
Same.
there's something so appealing about like his mental state.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, like the mentality behind like crimes and stuff. That's interesting. Like it's so
So
interesting.
interesting. I love it. Love learning about that. And like also, in season 3 when there's the flashbacks, he's so timid. He's so like, you know, afraid and everything, and I'm just like, what changed him to be? I'm guessing that situation where Priest saves him was like, oh, be brave, we do this and everything, but like it was just so interesting to see like, oh, he's very timid and has a like he's just not like he is now. It's crazy to see how everything little thing impacts a person's life. Going back to what the other question was, but yeah, it's just so wild to see.
For sure. I agree. Speaking of some mental issues, we also got to talk about like they also talked about PTSD in this season, which was so important, and she like the panic attacks and things like that. And I think that there are a lot of people out there who have experienced anxiety, PTSD, depression, all any of those things where you felt so like it felt so relatable. And I thought that Mary, who plays Sam, did like such a good job portraying it.
Yeah, she
Yes,
did
so
fantastic.
proud. Like she did. Like mental health is so important. That's something I'm like so glad season 3 got into, because
Yeah.
like it's okay to not be okay, like, but you gotta fight it. And like that's what was shown. Like we were down for a bit, or Sam was down for a bit, but then at the end you defeat it, and like with the PTSD, like again, like proud of Mary. She did so good with like portraying it, and like it's just something so, like you said, so many people can relate to. So I love that that was shown.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think it was so interesting to see how Daniel brought her through it. Like, he's like, it's okay. Like, this is actually my favorite quote from the original movies, but it's okay to lose your opponent, but it's never okay to lose to fear. Like, it's okay that you're fighting this, but you don't want to let it win. You need to overcome your fears and everything. You don't want to be stuck in the same spot, or else it's just only going to get harder. So I thought that was just amazing how he brought that into play, and he brought her to the same arena that he had fear in, and he was like describing how like, oh, I had to overcome this, I had to do this, and now I'm past it. Which will be interesting to see if Terry comes back, how he's going to handle it. But
He's really past it.
yeah, if he's really past it.
But yeah, it's so true, because everyone is fighting their own battle.
Yeah.
And just to be shown that you can defeat it, and it may take a bit, and you're gonna have like those panic moments, and you're just gonna shut down sometimes, but you can defeat it, and you can defeat your battle. Let's just
Yeah. And I think there's so many ways to go about doing that too, that we can all like they can continue to touch on. Like for me, it was like music and figuring out like the message that I wanted to hear in what was being, said to me in my earphones all day long. And like, it's okay not to be okay, is like the mantra of like pop punk, which is like very much what I was listening to throughout like all of my middle school, high school, and I still listen to it because it's still awesome. But like, I think it was so healing for me, and like, it's so good that like you can talk about it now. It's so like, because people were always like, why do you listen to this? Why do you like this? And I was like, I didn't want to talk about it. But now, like, after seeing, so many, not just in Cobra Kai, but so many shows portray this and show that it's really okay. Like, I'm so, I'm comfortable enough to say it. Like, there were, things that I struggled with, and this is what helped me. And I'm sure like it was different for each of you, like whatever you were struggling with, there was something that clicked for you that started that healing process.
Yeah. And like you said, like with music, I'm a like total music person too. It's like music, like it just connects with you, and you find that, and it's so relatable. There's, like you said, there's something that clicks with you that's going to help you fight your battle. And that's so cool that you feel like you can speak about it now, and like that it is normalized, that like it's okay to not be okay, and you can talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think through music, I also love music. I think through it, the message can be so impactful and powerful. Like, oh, I'm not the only one going through this. Like, there's people singing about it. There's people talking about it. Like, I'm not the only one going through this. And I think that's why we find music so relatable, because it feels like we're not alone in this situation. And it feels like we can express ourselves in that way and just connect with it and feel like it's okay to not be okay and have that situation, because you're not the only one who's been feeling that way.
And that's what's so powerful just about all music, is that there's so many different stories, and there's just so much you can relate to. Like, it's just music.
Yeah.
Did you see when the Cobra Kai page put out all the different playlists and stuff for the actors? Did you like go through them? Because I know being a music head, like I went through them, and I picked out my favorite actors based on their music taste.
Really?
I don't know if anybody else did that, but it's fine.
Which one did you choose?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Which ones do you like?
I'm a cross between Mary and Jacob's music taste.
Okay.
For sure, because like Mary listens to all the punk, all the emo music and stuff, which is such a huge part of my life. But then as I've like grown up and went through high school and stuff too, being younger, the only thing my dad listened to was classic rock music and stuff. And so there's like a lot of music that Jacob had on his playlist, and I think even Billy, a lot of Billy's music.
Billy, I love
next
Billy.
to some dad music for sure. But the three of them definitely, in my mind, had the best music taste.
Yeah.
And then I don't know when it was, but Jacob put something on his story one time, and he was like, "This is my absolute favorite song," and it was like a 10-track on this random band. I don't know if you've ever heard of Catfish and the Bottlemen, but
I'm familiar.
They're on every single one of my playlists from like age 15 on for no reason. And it's like, it's not like a single or anything. And I was like, my king, like you have my approval. Like,
yes, I love that. That's so cool that you've been like able to interact with, like, just having that connection with the actors, even though like, oh, I don't know them personally, but like we have the same interests. So that's awesome that you had that experience and just felt like, oh wow, like that's amazing that you listen to the same stuff I listen to. Yeah, that's amazing.
Mary and I would have been best friends in high school. I want to ask her if she's ever been to a Warped tour, because I feel like that's a place for her. They don't have them anymore, but very much. But I feel like I would have found her at a Warped tour somewhere along the way, and like to be able to connect to that and be like, she is a person that I would have been friends with, makes me like the character more, which is so stupid, but like that's how I feel like you connect with them in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know if that happened for you at all. I don't know. Did you guys look at their playlists? Like, I don't know.
I remember a little bit. I gotta go with my girl Courtney. She had a pretty good playlist, and then I liked Ralph's the Rocky music. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Good.
totally agree.
I think I remember liking Billy's too. I don't remember a lot of them, but I remember liking Courtney and Ralph's.
Yeah, I loved Billy and Ralph's. I loved their playlists, and Tanner had a good one as well.
Mm-hmm. I remember looking at Cholos and being like, as a 21-year-old, I know I'm supposed to know all of that music, and I don't know a single thing. Like, I couldn't tell you a single song on that list. Like,
Yeah.
Rich and like stuff like that, and I was like, I know I've heard these. Like, I've been to the club. I know I've heard those songs. Couldn't tell you what they sound like.
That's how I am with a lot of like today's music, because like I'm much also for like 70s and 80s music and like some 90s music, but like today's music, people be like, have you heard that? I'm like,
No.
yeah.
Same.
I'm the same way. I'm sure the same way. I'm like, oh yeah, today's top 40. Totally know what you're talking about. Like,
I don't. Yeah.
Some of today's music is good though. Like Chainsmokers, Halsey. I like them.
I like Halsey.
Yeah.
I'm a big Ed Sheeran fan too. I like the simple style of like the singer-songwriter. Like, I liked James Taylor when I was growing up. And I feel like he gives me like those vibes of like a guy who's a star, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he totally does.
Definitely.
I always get The Weeknd and Khalid confused.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why.
Good.
They do have some similarities and like some different styles of like music that are the same. So that's
if you played me a song, I'd probably like get it. Like, who's wrong? I don't know why. I can't explain it. I always mix them up. Yeah, I don't know. We got off on a little bit of a tangent because once I start talking about music,
me too, girl.
Yeah, same.
I go on with this like for hours with you.
Good. We'll do that off camera. For sure.
Perfect.
I mean, music is the thing that like saved me, and so like I feel like I can talk about music for an eternity. But I guess because we kind of touched on it a little bit, I said like, I pick my favorites based on their music.
On the playlist, yeah.
Do you have a favorite character, not actor, a favorite character?
Okay, favorite character.
Is it from the original movies or just like?
Oh yeah, good question.
You can give me both. You could give me one. You might have a favorite of collectively. Up to you.
Okay. Well, I gotta go with my girl Sam because I just relate to her the most. Totally not biased because of Mary, I promise. I love you though, Mary. But yeah, Sam probably just because I relate to her the most. But Mr. Miyagi, if we're going to Karate Kid universe, loved him so much. And yeah, he had so many great quotes too from that film. Like, definitely one of my favorite ones was lesson isn't just for karate only, but for your whole life. Because like those are really true. Like when you think about like karate and like getting beat up and all that, like it's just like you're going to get beat up in life, like by life, but like like you'd learn those lessons in karate, but it takes you to real life where you can connect those and like not let life take you down and fight back. And so, there's so much you can do with that. And he had a lot of wisdom, and Miyagi and Pat too, like just amazing. So
definitely.
And then Daniel, of course, but Courtney, I mean Amanda, just yeah, there's so many good ones. And then Johnny and Robbie and Miguel.
All of them.
Basically.
Everyone's my favorite.
Yeah, everybody
except Tori. Not Tori. I love Peyton, but not Tori.
What about you?
I'd say probably Johnny for the series at least. I feel like I connect with him more personally. And for the Karate Kid universe, I'd say Miyagi as well, because you're like, oh, this is just a movie that was made in the 80s, but it's had so much impact. It's been like cross-generational. Like the lessons are still still apply today. They still have an effect on people. And even though it was just a movie, it was just a character in a movie, it had just so much.
Like it's more than a
It
character.
was so powerful.
It is.
Yeah. And
He's a timeless character.
yeah, he's very timeless. Even with Pat, he was like that as well. He just had so much, had an effect on everybody, and I think that's really important. And just it affected me, and I know so many people. So I'd say Miyagi with that one as well.
I agree. Miyagi is definitely my favorite Karate Kid universe character. Because I always wanted someone like that in my life to really just like put everything into perspective for me all the time, and teach me these lessons that would help me throughout my life. And honestly, he became that in a way of like, it didn't matter that he was a character, like his lessons reflected like the person I became. But as for Cobra Kai, I mean, I love Johnny. Don't get me wrong. Like, he makes me laugh the most. But like, if we're taking Johnny out of the equation, definitely Hawk.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's because like I felt like an Eli growing up, and like my lip scar was different. It was the fact that I acted and dressed differently than all the other girls, and I felt different than all the other girls. And because of that, like, experienced bullying, I guess. It was girls, so it was more emotional and in your head, than physical bullying. Because I would have kicked their asses. They were
Oh yeah. They know not to mess with you. That's why they didn't.
And then I feel like when I started taking karate lessons, like, I did the same thing. I took it too far, and I felt like it wasn't just confidence. Like, I wanted to start fights, and because I had all that anger inside of me. And like, as I grew up, I figured out how to balance that and where I really fit in, and who my friends should be, and like the kind of people I wanted to be around.
Yeah.
And like, I have a lot of guy friends, but I have like really great girlfriends as well, because I figured out like the kind of girl that isn't gonna care that I'd rather be playing basketball than watching The Bachelor. Like, but so I really relate to his whole journey, like as a whole. I don't know.
Yeah.
I connect with him a lot.
Awesome.
That's really cool to hear, and I'm like really honored that you could like open up with us about that. Like, that's a really cool story.
That takes a lot to just open up with, and I love hearing about it, and it just gives you like a even more sense of strength with that. So
yeah, that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh, it's not a problem. Like I said, I'm so open about it now, and it feels so good to be like that. And I feel like that came with just growing up. Like, I feel like these kids in the show are so young. Like, when I was that age, I was not making those changes. Like, that came later.
Like, it's a learning process, and that's what it is. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I want to go back to you guys being karate students currently. I mean, was it the show that made you get into it, or was it something else?
It was a little bit of both.
It was like, for me at least, it was a lot. Like, even before I watched Cobra Kai, I started doing Krav Maga for a while, and then COVID happened, so it got shut down, and then so it's always been like a self-defense thing for me, because like growing up, I was sick all the time. I was very like sick and small, and I think with karate and just martial arts, it's definitely made me feel like, oh, I can do anything. I'm not like this doesn't have to label me as someone who has I have celiac disease. It's an autoimmune disorder. So just growing up with that, and I don't have to be labeled as, oh, she's sick, she's small. So I think just karate in general, and just having that confidence to be like, oh, I'm not small, I'm not weak or anything. I think that really just boosted up. And then also watching Cobra Kai, that also boosted my um, strength and just everything. So I think it was both of those things just together, um, what made me start at least. So
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's really great
I
story.
sorry, what?
That's a really great story. Like that journey of kind of breaking down the boundaries of labels is so inspiring.
So true. So true. I can relate to that too. And not like with the celiac and all that, like that is your story. And that is just so amazing. Like I love hearing about it every time. But yeah, like I mean, like I did jujitsu when I was like 10 maybe, like 10 or 11. And that went for about a year, and then I broke a bone by it's kind of embarrassing. We were running backwards, and then I fell and landed on my wrist wrong, and then I just got busy with life, and I just like kind of got out of it. And I did that like mostly just like for self-defense, and like if stuff were to happen in school, like I could do something. But like getting like back into it was like a lot of it was motivation from like Cobra Kai and stuff, because it's like, and then like also like the label thing and like being able to defend yourself, because very strong about self-defense. So and just being able to defend others too, because that's very important. So yeah, just like a mix of like all of that. And then we started together, and it was because we only lived like 2 minutes away from each other.
We lived 2 minutes
very
away.
nice over quarantines. Like we would just go to like the park and like do karate together, and we were a mess at first.
Oh,
but then like it
we
was
would
just
watch
fun to
like
go through it.
YouTube thing, like videos, and then actually it was kind of like a Johnny, or not a Johnny, a Daniel and Miyagi kind of thing, because we were like out on this platform and we were like doing
we were like doing it like from YouTube and stuff. It was so funny. And then I remember when we were filming the wheel technique, or we were just practicing for it, and then I was all like doing like the wheel, like the middle of like the whole lake, and then everyone was just watching.
Yeah, they're like, because this was in the middle of a park, and everybody's like,
it was so funny.
I can only imagine what the public reaction was to watching you two climb into the lake.
it was so funny. It was amazing. And like there's canoes and everything in the back, and like people are like, what are you doing? Like
that was such a process to film. That was so fun though.
Yeah.
But like when we were doing it at the park, like that's like when we like started Karate Gals, is because we wanted to be extra, and like I said, like, we got so much inspiration from the show that like we ordered the little headbands, and we're like, we're gonna be extra. We did that. And then Jess, like, do you want to get how to like you wanted to like recreate the photos and how
so we both got our headbands in the mail, and I was like, I put it on, and I found a photo of Johnny and like doing it, like tying it on his head, in Cobra Kai. And I was like, let's like recreate the photos just for like fun. Cause I know like Mariah, like she could be his daughter, honestly. Like they look alike. I was like, dude, we need to do a recreation because you look like him so much. And so we did recreations, and then I was like, oh, let's just post it for fun. Be like, hey, that's cool. It like blew up.
Little did we know. Yeah.
Hey, it's so crazy that it was like just kind of on a whim.
Yeah.
I know. I was all like passed out, and then like I woke up and she was texting me, and she was like, I posted it. I was like, oh, cool. And then she like FaceTimes me. She's like, oh, and I was like, what just happened? And like everything just blew up. Like it was absolutely insane. And so then like Hayden was like talking to us and all that, and he was like, you guys like need to keep doing this. And then that's what we did, and here we are.
It's so amazing that like he even like it blew up so much that Hayden reached out to you guys. Like that's so crazy.
Yeah. It's been like just so great being able to connect like with the cast and with the crew and everyone, and it's just like another family now. Like it's just really honored to be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the community of people that are involved in Cobra Kai, I feel like they're so incredible, and there are so many things that I sit like on my couch and obsess over. And the fact that it was Cobra Kai that I decided to start putting out on like the internet my thoughts and feelings on it, like it's because I knew that it was going into a community of people who were supportive and fun, and like the entire cast looks like they're all amazing people, and like there's, you know, you hear a lot of like horror stories, but they all seem, everyone is just like great.
Yeah, definitely.
Fans, creators, cast, crew, like.
Yeah,
I'm glad that like this childhood movie where like it was my dad's childhood movie and like now it's my childhood movie, and like something that I watched at 4 has taken on like this whole other life, which is mind blowing to me, that this people now like are invested in the Karate Kid the way I was. Like when I saw the Karate Kid at like 4 or 5, I was like, all right, sign me up. Like I'm taking karate. Like that's what's happening. And like little sassy me, like looked at my parents, was like, yeah, like this is happening. And like my brother too, he was like, we're doing this. Like we're gonna be black belts.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I totally like. It's so wild to think like, because I also watched it when I was around like 6 or 7, around there. But my family watched it, and it's just been one of those franchises that I can watch over and over again without getting tired of it. Like even from then, I just watched it constantly, and they're like, "Are you watching that again?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm watching it again because I love it." And I never thought it would be like such a big part of my life now. And like you were saying, like I think this community is so unique. Like I don't think any other show has this type of supportive creators, fans, just cast, everybody. Like everybody's just one big family, even though like we don't know each other personally. It's just everybody's so supportive of everybody, and it's amazing. So just love it.
So I have to ask, how are you guys doing in karate training? Where you at?
Doing good. I'm so busy. I've been so busy lately, like with acting, with like vocal lessons, with getting ready for my big pageant I'm doing soon, that it's just like, okay, I've been like trying to keep up with these karate lessons. Like I'm staying dedicated. The owners, they're like family to me. So, like it's going good. I'm keeping up with it. And I'm really glad to be doing it. And I should be testing for my blue belt soon. So that'll be testing is a joy. It's a time.
I remember testing. Testing was so stressful but so fun.
Yeah.
I remember preparing for my black belt test and like freaking out every single day.
Yeah.
For like 3 weeks. I was so nervous.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot to like put into that test, especially like compared to other belt tests. So that's
I know. And I like sometimes like I was talking to my friend Daniel about this one time, where like sometimes it's like total Miyagi-Do nights and we just live for it, like yes. And then there's testing night, and we came up and called that Cobra night because there is just no mercy that night. It's a nightmare.
It's like normally our sensei is very like, he's like Miyagi to us. He's just very chill. But when it's testing or everybody is on edge. Everybody like wants to end you, and then our sensei's like turns into Crease, and it's like it's scary. Like it's just the weirdest shift ever. So
that's so fun though.
Yeah. So doing good, feeling good about it, learning a lot, testing soon. Jess, you're in college right now. So.
Yeah, I'm in college, but when I come back for breaks and everything, I try to go to the classes. But yeah, it's been going really well when I'm there. It's so fun. I love, like, my favorite thing to do. I love working with, like, I do stunts. Like, stunts is so fun.
So fun.
And like grappling and everything. I think those are like my favorite ones. And then I know Mariah likes bow staff.
Oh yeah, bow staff training, so fun.
Bow staff is really fun.
I liked bow staff a lot, but I always felt like I wasn't like, that wasn't my thing. You know what I mean? And so I loved the commas and the size. I loved having both hands available and like having like two. And so at one point there was this girl who was a couple years older than me, and she started this trend of like flying commas. So the little wristbands that you would attach to, she like lengthened them, and she would like swing them around like over her head or whatever. So she tried to teach me. I eventually got it. Eventually. Yeah, I don't know. But I loved the size, and I feel like that was an underrated weapon. And then I saw it when Kreese tried to kill Johnny with it.
Oh yeah.
I was like, no, like those are my size. Like they are not a murder weapon.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I did, like I was telling you guys off camera. I did karate for like 8 years growing up. Up until like varsity athletics like took over my life. And so I feel like watching Cobra Kai, like I've wanted to get back into it so badly. But like you, Jessie, like I'm in college, so my dojo is like at home.
Yeah.
Like where I'm from, and I'm gonna graduate, and I don't know if I'm going back to Long Island, so I have to go and figure out where I'm gonna be able to take classes. But it's got to be so different doing it when you're like an adult and busy, because literally it was my whole life. Like I went 3 to 4 times a week. And it was like this huge part of my schedule. And I remember I'd be like, yeah, Mom, I got class at 3:45 to 4:30 and then 5:15 to like 6:30. Like and I have all these classes, and I'm just gonna stay there in between my classes, and I'll do my homework there. Mom did not do my homework there. But it was like a home. And so like to go and it not be, I'm like nervous to go back and maybe have a different sensei, or like, because it was like home, it was a family, and I want to go back there, but you know, you never know where you're gonna be.
Yeah, totally feel that. In the one that the branch that we go to, it was actually brought over from Hawaii, and it was brought over to Colorado, and like it was kind of like random places like Colorado and then like somewhere off the East Coast. But there's no branches out here where I am. Otherwise, I would totally like go to those, but also it's just like that's my family. Like you were saying, like that's the home, that's the first place that I've known with that, and so many people there that I want to be and see with. So it's just, yeah, I totally agree. Like you're like, I want to do it, but like I'm not home to do it. So it's like,
exactly. And even we were saying like I took the same style of karate you guys are taking now, but yours was like from Hawaii, and on the East Coast, like where I was taking Kempo, it was, you're calling yours like universal Kempo. Ours was like something a little bit different, but still Kempo. And it's different in each place. Like even when we would compete, we would have like the same basic routines and same forms, and everybody used like the same basic structure, but the different dojos all around like the Northeast had different styles and everything. So wherever I go next, like I'm gonna have to like go back and relearn a lot of it and get back into it in a different way. So it's like nerve-wracking, I'm not gonna lie. But
you got this.
Yeah,
we're rooting you on.
I know, I want to so badly. It's just like, I mean, obviously right now I'm at school and COVID and everything, and so the more I sit and like get in my head about it, I'm like, I don't know where I'm gonna go. Like I don't know where I'm gonna be. I don't know what job I'm gonna have. Like, but it's something that I was so passionate about, and like probably one of my bigger regrets was not figuring out how to balance it through high school, because I got something, I wasn't even 16 when I took my black belt test. So we got something called like a junior black belt, where
that's still,
is that still a thing?
Yeah.
So like I never officially got like my first degree black belt, and I wanted to so badly. Like I made it all the way to like I was like black purple or black blue. Like I was moving along, and I was like, and then then I went to high school and I stopped going to as many classes and I stopped moving up the ranks as quickly, and like it just kind of like almost phased out of my life, and so I never had like a negative memory with it. So I don't know. I definitely want to go back. I just have to figure out how I'm gonna do it.
That's so cool.
I'm rooting you on. Totally go for it. But yeah, I totally agree how like, you don't have that time where like you don't know what's next kind of feeling. I'm a freshman in college, but like still like I'm just like, oh, it's hard going back and forth between like, oh, I'm here, but I'm also not, and worrying about coming back and like not knowing things that were taught or like feeling behind. So I totally get you, like just not knowing like what to expect.
You're having quite the unconventional freshman experience, huh?
Yeah.
My brother's going through the same thing. He's a freshman, and like I just feel so bad for you guys because like college is so fun.
Yeah.
It can't be as fun as it was.
Yeah, like my brother always told me like, oh, you're gonna have so much fun and everything, there's so many events, and like none of that's happening. Like it's like, what? Like it's just so interesting how like you thought like how it would be like a certain way, but then it's like totally different, and you're like, this isn't normal college, but it feels normal to me. Like, yeah,
you're never gonna know what normal college was like.
Yeah.
For your next 4 years, you're gonna be going through the post-COVID experience.
Yeah.
I hope it goes back to complete normal.
Yeah.
Complete normalcy is so far away.
Yeah, it's just so crazy to look at, like think about that and everything. But yeah, it's been a ride.
I hope you get to have like better experiences in the next few years for that.
Yeah, and I hope by the time that you get there, Mariah, that like it's all back to normal, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
You're a senior, junior? You're younger.
I'm a sophomore.
You're younger than that. I was gonna say you're younger than you come across as so much more mature. I think that's why.
Yeah, everyone's always like so shook when I tell them like I'm a sophomore. They're like, what? I thought you were like a senior or like 18, or like sometimes like waiters will ask me like, oh, do you want to like alcohol? And I'm like, I didn't think I looked 21, but
I do, because everywhere I go, I still get berated about being 21 because no one thinks I'm as old as I am.
Oh, yeah, I feel that one.
Every single, like every time I go into a bar, like I get quizzed on like my ID and everything. I'm like, can we please stop this at this point?
Can I just have my drink? Like, yeah, totally get that. Yeah, whenever we're together, we always get flipped. Like everybody thinks I'm younger than her. So like when
that feels good.
Yeah, it's so I'm like, it's just like weird sometimes because like when we first went to karate, one of our classmates was like, yeah, honestly, when you came in here, I thought you were like 12 or 13. I was like,
I'm 18, but
so, guys. That does happen to me. My dad coaches like high school girls basketball, and so while I was home for break, I went to go practice with them because I wanted to play, and like Governor Cuomo has like opened it up to New York again. So I was like, all right, Dad, like I'm gonna come to practice. And I show up, and there's a couple of younger girls that go there, I guess, and train with the 16, 17-year-old girls. And one of the like 13-year-olds comes up to me, and she was like talking to me, and I was like, do you think I'm your age? And she was like, yeah, like are you older? And I was like, how old do you think I am? And she's like, 15? And I was like, I'm not. I definitely don't look 15. Like, what are you talking about? And it was a little bit mortifying. But I guess when you're 50, it's gonna be awesome that you look 40. So
yeah, that's true. That's a good. Yeah.
But we're all like pretty young, so I guess a question that I have for you is, do you connect at all to Amanda or Carmen? Like, do you connect to like the moms at all?
Yeah.
Not really Carmen, more Amanda. Who just kind of like the what is even the word? Like the straightforward, like kind of like sarcastic kind of like I don't like I like
say it
I
like
guess
it is.
is the best way to describe it. She's so funny. Like I love her sense of humor.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even I relate to Carmen in the sense that like I have a puppy, so I'm like a mom. I'm a dog mom. And I'm the most hardcore dog mom that there is. And like when my dog had to go to the emergency room, like I feel like I literally was Carmen for like a day and a half, like while I was like, panicking over my dog being like in the hospital, and like worrying about like every little thing. So I feel like I'm at like a weird age where I feel like I connect to the kids, but also I'm not in high school. Like I feel like I'm much more of an adult and have more adult problems, but I don't really connect to the moms as much as like I feel like I could. And but it's this weird like line that I'm balancing. But I don't know. I feel like Carmen is like she goes underappreciated because she's always like crying and she's always worried about Miguel. But like I just want to put it out there. I totally get her. I get her now. Like you can get like that. You can be the toughest woman in the world, and when your kid is in the hospital, like I can't even imagine what it would be like if I had a real kid and not just like a dog. But I get her, and she is not weak. Let me just put that out there.
Yeah.
So strong to even like go through the process of like being able to forgive Johnny and the whole thing. Like I think she flies under the radar. She goes underappreciated, but she's just a mom. Like at core, like she's a single mom who cares about her kid. And I just wanted to put that out. I wanted to make that.
Yeah,
I wanted that
definitely.
like she is a freaking badass in her own right. And let's give Carmen more appreciation because
totally agree.
We all love her. Johnny loves her. We all love her. Come
on. Yeah, totally agree with you. I think both of the moms in the season or in the show have like they're both moms, but they both have different reactions to things. Like Courtney, or why do I keep saying that? Amanda is.
I think I might have accidentally said Courtney earlier too. Amanda.
Amanda is like if she gets mad, like if something happens to her kid, like as we've seen in 2 and 3, she'll fight back. She'll do this. She'll do that. Like she'll go slap people, defend her kids and her family. And then Carmen, like she'll have that effect too, but she's more. I feel like she's more caring in a way, like and forgiving. I just like I love how they're both moms, but they both have different reactions to things and both handle it in their own way, and it just comes out the right way, like perfectly how it should come. So, but yeah, they're both badass, like in their own way. Totally agree, especially Carmen, and I think I agree. I think she's underrated, but she has so much behind her. So I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I just like all the women in the show, especially in season 3, like really took a giant leap forward for me. But I when they brought Allie back in, I was so nervous for Carmen. I was so nervous for Johnny. I freaked out when she first said like ex-wife or whatever.
Oh yeah.
You were sitting. I was like, come on, no, like.
I know, like everything like turns out like it's going well, and then you're like, no, you're gonna like screw it up and everything, and then luckily she found out.
Allie, I love you, but don't f this up. Like, don't get in there.
Don't mess this up with Carmen. Don't do that to her. Anything, and I think it was good that they had it where she knew about Carmen. He's like, oh, who's the girl that you're talking to? And he's like, yeah, she's pretty amazing. And she's like, well, yeah, she has to be amazing if she has speechless. Like, I think that was good that they didn't make it like, oh, it's a secret, like, oh, I'm dating someone, but you don't know that.
Yeah, they used her really well, actually.
Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
multiple reasons. Like, Allie was so impactful as a character, and I was really worried at first when they were bringing her back,
Yeah.
like, what she could do, because I feel like these guys are adults and they're still so hung up on their high school girlfriend. Like, are we kidding? And I don't know. I just feel like it was so much more realistic that she found out that Johnny was with someone and like pushed him into it, and like that these high school exes could become friends and get the closure that they needed,
Yeah.
and like they could both move each other's stories along because they were stuck in the past a little bit. And so I feel like Allie became a lot more realistic to me because I felt like throughout the first 2 seasons she was like this teenage dream and everyone was still hung up on her for some reason. And I was like, she was your high school girlfriend. How many girls did you date since then?
Yeah.
You're in your 40s. Like,
Yeah.
let's be real. Like, here,
Yeah.
you're not still thinking about her this much, right? Right? And then Johnny's like out there on Facebook and he's like copying all her posts. I'm like, Johnny, are you 16 still?
He's like in that age with the technology. He's definitely like in that mode. He's like, how long does it take for messages to send over? Oh, it's like Colorado. That's a pretty far. It's gonna take a while. And I'm like
technology deficiencies are
yeah.
peak comedy because I feel like that's every adult that you talk to, and even like me sometimes I feel like I look at stuff sometimes and I'm like, how do I,
like what? Yeah.
Like TikTok, how does that work?
Yeah.
How is everybody like doing that? And I still don't have this answer, but how is everybody doing that thing where they go like this and then they change outfits? Like, I don't even understand that. That's just top level technology for me that I don't understand. And I'm not that old, so
yeah,
it keeps changing. It's hard to keep up with.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like growing up, we didn't have like even when we were growing up, we didn't have that much tech as we do now.
I had a MySpace briefly. I was
oh my gosh, wait. You did? Yes.
I was literally, I think because my brother does, and he's your age, Jesse, like he doesn't even really know what MySpace is. And so I literally hit the tail end of it, but I had older cousins. So I think that's probably why I had one, but I had a MySpace. And the fact that we have TikTok and not MySpace anymore. Like I remember when Vine was birthed.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not that old. So like the fact that it's changed all this much.
Yeah, that's like not a thing anymore. It's like
so hard to keep up with.
Crazy. Yeah, I agree. Like I have 3 older brothers, so I agree. Like I think the older influence of things like, I probably wouldn't have played this or done that if I didn't have anybody older than me doing the things like at my age that I had no idea about. So I think it's definitely like influence with things that you don't know, and even younger, like Johnny and Miguel. Like Miguel knows more about technology than Johnny does, but he's older. He just never knew about it, or he never got into it because just so much has gone on with his life since the 80s. So it was just interesting.
I just don't see how he could be that far behind. Like he was really far behind.
He was very behind. Yeah,
only Johnny.
He still had the what's it called? I forgot the name of it, but it's the brick TV where it's like the giant square and it's really heavy. Yeah, he still had one of those TVs, and I was like, wow, I like had that when I was growing up too, and just like he still had like the VHS. Yeah, the VHS and stuff.
Oh.
Like, oh my gosh, I love this.
I used to wear out the tapes on my VCR. I used to watch like the same things over and over again, and you would break the tape. I had like the little radio, like the Walkman radio.
Oh yeah.
Headphone.
Love that.
And that Johnny he has it with cassettes. I had it with CDs because I was, wasn't going to the CDs, but I had my little Walkman that I carried with me everywhere on its strap, and
I love that. Yeah.
I miss old technology. I'm not gonna lie. Like we're gonna put this out on, like this is gonna go on YouTube, and we're like, we're content creators, and like I remember YouTube when it was just Fred.
Yeah, yeah.
No, just yeah.
That was the only thing I ever saw on YouTube for
Yeah,
like
I
2 years.
remember that. I was like, oh my gosh, that just blew me back to the past.
Yeah, I'm
that.
like having so many nostalgic flashbacks right now.
Yeah, like just talking about all this, like all the technology. Like when I was growing up, we had laser discs.
Oh wow.
Basically were like, you know, giant movie like DVDs that were like records, but it was just like we still have all of them, but it was just thinking back by like all the technology that we had back then was so simple, and you know, it still made it had so much use still. It was simple, but it had its use.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting seeing the development between like 20 years. So
And it's very, very drastic in Cobra Kai and Johnny's case.
yeah.
Like even like him setting up like a dating app with Miguel, and I think it's like it's obviously the extreme, but I mean really like that's how everybody feels. I think when the next thing comes out and they're like, how do I do that? Like I don't understand. And then he's writing that letter to Robbie in season 1, right?
Yeah, season 1.
And he's like, I refuse to text or email. I'm like, me too. He's like, I call everyone, and people are like, why are you calling me? I'm like, because I have a lot to say, and I don't want to text it all out. Like that just takes so much time. A 5-minute conversation takes 30 minutes over text.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
These things are so great, and they've progressed us so far. Like the ability to use Facebook to keep in contact with people that you don't live with, and use FaceTime to see people that you're not, you know, next to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great. I just have, you know, you have to figure out how to use it. Like,
yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, it's crazy how far it's come in, like, you know, like Zoom. Like, we wouldn't be able to do this if we didn't, like, back then. We wouldn't be able to be doing this with each other. So, also, I think it's kind of like, Johnny was like, oh, we did this all in person. Like, you go to the front door of the girl's house or whatever. You go talk to them. We deal with this physically. We're not, like, cyberbullying, like, the internet. He's just, like, you know, it's just so different, like, growing up between, like, you know, the 80s and now is like, oh, it's so behind the screen, and
The
so
bullying
I think that was, it's like all online. Yeah,
I mean, I honestly thought Tyler's character was almost unrealistic in the first season because you don't see that anymore. People are more like what, you know, Yasmin was like there, and it's boys and girls. It's all behind the screen at this point, and everything is online. And I honestly, I don't know that I've seen a physical altercation since middle school for me. And like that was right when like the iPhone first came out, and like Instagram was starting to become popular. And so like as all those things became popular, people found it so easy to be mean. They were either anonymous, or if they were just, even if they weren't anonymous, if they were just behind a screen, it was so much easier to say.
They were not, they like a lot of that, like what you're saying, they wouldn't say that in real life, but like they would not do like what people do like behind the screen. If they tried to do that, no, because
it wouldn't go well.
No, but that's why like I appreciated Tyler's character. I was like, you know what, like let's go old school, because if we have to deal with problems face to face, like that's the reason that the Daniel types are going to win, because behind a screen anybody can win, and anybody can make anybody feel horrible about themselves, and you don't have the chance to stand up and fight for yourself online, I feel like.
And it's not like like you maybe be able to like screenshot it or whatever and send it to people, but it's not like a physical thing where like other people could be around, or like no witnesses to like for it. So it's just, it feels like like many people coming at you, but there's no backup for you as well, because it's all behind the screen, and they can delete it, they can do this, and then it's all up in the air and you don't know. So it's just, technology is like a blessing, but it's also like
there's the pros and cons.
Did you ever experience anything like, do you remember in season 1 when Sam was getting bullied for the story Tyler told with like the blow pops and the bananas? Did anything
Yeah.
like that ever happen to you? Like, 'cause
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, not that exact case, but like,
Yeah.
man, middle school girls, they can be mean. Same with high school girls, just same with like anybody, but oh, middle school years were
Middle
nasty.
school was nasty.
middle
People like if
school,
yeah, like if you don't like make them happy, do exactly what they want, like they will spread like
Everything.
rumors and lies and like people are gonna believe them.
Yeah. And
Like
also, yeah. Also, it's like everybody at that stage has a lot of insecurities. And so I feel like, especially with having technology, they feel like, oh, I can just say this while like protecting my insecurities and just, but like that's like the main fire, like the fuel to their fire is like, oh, I'm insecure about this, but you have this, or like something along those lines. Everybody at that stage is just growing and they don't know who they are and they're just maturing into who they're meant to be, but they don't have that sense of security within themselves. So they feel like, oh, I can, yell this out at someone else and that'll help me feel better, kind of thing. So,
yeah, I totally completely understand that. I was just telling a story about middle school like the other day, because when I was in 8th grade, that was when One Direction became really popular. Right when they were like at their peak phase.
yeah.
And I was into like alternative music and I was very much like still a tomboy and the whole thing. And my group of friends started bullying me because I didn't like One Direction. And I just thought
it's the dumbest things that people get mad over. Like
Yeah.
so they actually started telling people that because I didn't like One Direction, I had to be a lesbian if I didn't like those guys. And it helped that I dressed the way I did too. So like this rumor starts going around about me. And so 13-year-old me decided that I would pretend to like One Direction in order to fit in. And like saying that now like sounds so stupid. And like to the point where like my mom was convinced I liked them. Like everyone was convinced I liked them because I went home. I did all my research. Like I like learned all about all these guys and I picked like a favorite and then like I started like listening to all the music. I learned all the words, whatever. And like I would go into school and tell them that I liked One Direction. And then I would go home and listen to All Time Low and like other random stuff. And like to the point where I bought concert tickets.
that is
Went and saw a One Direction show. Yeah.
that's
That's like my embarrassing middle school story is that like that is I think the one time where I became so like unconfident and so like I felt so bad about myself over One Direction. One Direction. Again, like let that be known. And it's not like One Direction is bad. It's not like they make bad music. I didn't buy
You're not your type, yeah. And that's okay. And like be you. Don't be what they want you to be. Like you know. And that's just something you learn as you go through those things.
8 months I pretended to like One Direction. My phone password, still Niall Horan's birthday. I never forgot it. I never forgot it.
That'll stick with you forever.
It was so traumatizing, like those 4 numbers in my head. Like I know them so well, and no one would ever guess that would be my password because I don't present as a One Direction fan.
That's wild.
Well, I mean, your password's safe.
Yeah,
safe.
I guess I have to change it now. I'm putting it out there on the internet.
Oh, yeah, that'd probably be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, middle school is a tough time. I definitely don't miss those days at all.
Oh, same. Yeah, I remember the day graduating from 8th grade. I was like, we're done. Yay, we can move on to a new chapter and just leave it behind forever.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy is I feel like so the girls to go back to Cobra Kai, which is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel like even though they're taking karate, they're still so desirable to the boys. And that is not something that I experienced at all. And I don't know if it's different for you guys now being like a closer to adults or like, you know, teenagers taking it, whereas like I was younger. But I did not experience that as like a young girl at all. I felt like I was less desirable because I was into karate and basketball and like sports and stuff. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Like how are Sam and Tori so desirable?
I think that times have changed with that, which I'm so glad they have, because that's just so unfair. Like, but I'm trying to think of a way to say, like, it's just attractive, like when you can stand up for yourself, or at least that's what I think. Like, you're not gonna take
I always thought
whatever's coming at you.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like you can be independent, like with yourself,
Yeah.
like almost. I
It's
think
not like a reliable, like, you have to, like, if I was a guy and, like, you're just like, oh, he doesn't have to rely on me all the time. I think it's,
like she's strong
like,
by herself, too.
yeah, like,
yeah.
has her own strength, I think. And also, like confidence is a big thing as well. It's, like, you're not, like, timid or, you know, like, oh, I'm afraid to do this, and, like, you know, like, damsel in distress kind of thing. But, like,
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
strength behind yourself and a lot of confidence. And I think, again, like, times have just changed with that. And I
For
think,
the better.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I love that they're showing it on screen. Like I love that that all the guys want to be with these girls and that they're not going after anybody else.
yeah.
Like again, like it was so different, and like throughout my life, I feel like guys have been scared off by the fact that I'm all those things and that I appreciate all those things about myself, and that I really don't need them, and that they're like a bonus. And I think that like
yes.
and every now and then, but like to all the guys out there listening, like get yourself a bad bitch who can do it without you.
Yes.
If she needs you. If she needs you, then like no comment.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like don't get scared off by like powerful women, because that's like the old way. That happened, you know, that was middle school.
That was so 10 years ago.
That was, yeah.
2021, like
Definitely.
because it's so interesting that like they're portraying that on screen, and I love that they're portraying that on screen.
Yeah, I love how that's being depicted, and it's so crazy to think about how much, like, over the years, how the view of, you know, women not being able to, like, stand up for themselves, or they shouldn't stand up for themselves, has changed, like, you know, from 70s, 80s, or anything. Like, then that was like, oh, I want to stand up for myself, but it's grown so far from here into what it is now. And I think it's really encouraging for people to have that strength within them, and other people encouraging them, like, oh yeah, you can do this, like, and other women encouraging other women. Like, I think that's a huge thing. Like,
yeah, girls encouraging girls.
Yeah.
Like supporting. Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure. I mean, that's part of the reason I'm like rooting so hard for Sam to be the one to like redeem Tori, because like women should be
They're for
like,
each other.
supporting other women, and like that I want them so badly to work together. But I also love that they're normalizing like that anybody can be a bully. It doesn't have to be a guy. Like
Yeah.
But I do want to see them like help each other grow.
Yeah.
That would be so impactful to see on screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was why Aisha was such a great character. She was like doing that for both of them. Like I hope we see her again. I don't know that we will.
Yeah.
I loved her character, and her like kind of falling in between the two of them. And I was hoping that they would be able to like all help each other.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And also, like, with what you're saying, like, not everybody's one gender's like a bully, or like, you know, like, everybody can change, like, for the better. Like, you know, Yasmin, like, she was bullying everybody and everything, but I think it was also, like, again, going back to, like, insecurity, and and then, you know, that one person can totally change everything. Like, Dimitri, like, he's like, oh yeah, like, love conquers all. That line was just, like, impactful. Like, you gotta, like, love each other and just empower each other, because it it really can change someone's life. And I totally agree that Sam and Tori can benefit each other. And even though, you know, Sam is afraid of her, she overcomes that fear in, like, the finale a little bit. Like, she was afraid, but then she fought her off. Um, but I'm interested to see how their relationship goes from here. But yeah.
Yeah. I guess to kind of start heading towards wrapping up, I do want to talk to you guys about a couple of maybe some predictions or something. Like, I know we're coming up on the All Valley, and literally every single person I talk to has a different thought or opinion on who is winning that All Valley tournament, because there are so many prominent characters now.
Yeah.
So I need to get everyone's opinion. I'm polling the group, because again, in my head, and I need to know, and I need to have an idea in my head.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll let Jess go first, because again, I'm so horrible with like theories and stuff.
I'd say it's so conflicting, because now Johnny and Daniel have teamed up, and, you know, dreamwork makes the team work. So it's just, it's, I don't know, like, I feel like Robbie's going to, like, Cobra Kai. I feel like they're gonna win this one, because I feel like if Terry comes back, I feel like Terry's just gonna show up at the tournament, and then Daniel's gonna see him, and then he can be like, oh no, like he, I don't know. I feel like he's secretly training Robbie, and then he sees him at the tournament, and he, like, oh no, like, he was trained underneath him. Or, you know, and also, I don't know if Cobra Kai didn't win. I don't know where the show would go if, you know, Kreese died, because they made that deal at the end. They're like, well, if I win, then he didn't really say what would happen, but if he lost, then he would go. So I feel like,
Which, can we trust him is the
yeah,
question.
so it's very conflicting, but I honestly think Cobra Kai is probably going to win. But, you know, I really don't know. John, Josh, and Hayden flip the script.
I know.
I really don't know.
Because you never know what they're gonna bring out. So
Yeah.
and
That
the
was
best-
my thought, is like, you never know what they're gonna do, because they
Genius
always
is like-
surprise you. But
Yeah.
I do feel like the question of what happens if Johnny and Daniel lose has been left unanswered, and it also provides, like, the opportunity for Johnny and Daniel to work together for a while, and then if they lose, they'll probably split up again. They're gonna fight again, and it's gonna go back to the end. Like, ultimately, maybe, like, eventually they'll be able to come together and fully understand each other, because I feel like they haven't made enough progress yet to really want to work together. I feel like they feel forced to at the moment.
Yeah, because they both hate this one person. They're like, we got to take them down, but they don't, like, together, like, don't work together very well. But also, like, Allie, I think she, like, had a really impactful, like, role in this season, because she was just, like, the brick to finish their wall or whatever. Like,
She really, like,
that.
provided that spark for them to kind of start to see their similarities.
Yeah.
See how petty that they've been being.
Yeah.
And so, like, yes, it's a great jumping off point. Yes, having a common enemy is another great jumping off point. But I feel like they're kind of, instead of starting in the kiddie pool, I feel like they're really diving into the deep end right away, and they need some floaties first, because
Yeah.
to figure out, like, how to be. I think they need to figure out how to be friends before they can figure out how to, like everyone wants them to go into business together. Like, they need to be friends first, and they need to understand each other better first. But I agree with you. I think Robbie's going to win, and I don't like it, but I think that's what's gonna happen. Because realistically, my guy Hawk should win. He's first of all, he's gone through way too much hardship. This man needs a win. Second of all, he's been trained by Johnny, Kreese, and he'll have Daniel's training. So he's the only person that's been trained by all of them. So that he should absolutely obliterate the entire competition. But I think they're gonna knock him out of the competition before it happens.
Yeah, it'll probably be like toward the end of the competition when they're like fighting and stuff. It'll be probably like the second to last one, maybe gets hit out.
I think Corey's better for him.
Yeah.
Get back at him for being a traitor. Like, I think it might not even be like at the tournament. Like, it may be before that. But I think they're gonna come for him.
Yeah, probably because they never showed what happened afterward.
Yeah, he's like trying to fit in a new place now, and like he's thought of as a traitor by literally everyone. Like, no one really knows if they're supposed to trust him or not. And I think that he won't even end up competing because someone is going to get hurt before the tournament is my thought. And if I had to guess who it's going to be, it would
definitely,
be based on the story and where he's going.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you. And I think that, Hawk and Dimitri, the binary brothers, I feel like they're going to have like a badass fight scene together and like they work together so well. And I think that's going to be their strength. Like, their balance is like working together. So I think maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, I totally agree.
Crap out of Kyler.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think Robbie will win. I'm interested to see how the girls fit in. Like if they'll compete against the boys or if now there are enough girls that it'll be a separate bracket. That kind of changes things in my head because like if girls are separate then I think we'll have like a Robbie Miguel showdown part 2, but also there's no way Miguel should be able to be fighting like that again, so I don't know. So I feel like Robbie and Sam would be great in the finals, but that would actually require the girls to be in the same bracket as all the boys.
I think wasn't Aisha in the
She was the only girl.
Okay, that's true. I think that'll be, I agree that either Miguel or and Robbie or Robbie and Sam, that would be really interesting to see.
Can we also sort this out? They have another year of eligibility, right?
Oh yeah, they're 17.
A lot of people are like, we're saying like this is the last one. And Daniel fought in another one after his senior year.
Yeah.
He finished his senior year and fought in another one. So I don't know how he did that because that's a little bit of a plot hole there.
Yeah.
He might have graduated at 17 and then it's an under 18.
Yeah.
I'm graduating at 17. So
yeah. And then the third movie, he was the winner. So I guess he competed because he was like, and also that was right after Okinawa, so he probably wasn't 18 yet. I'm not really sure.
Are the tournaments yearly? Because we saw one in May, and now it's in December.
I think
it's been less than a year since the last tournament.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure they like set the dates. Like, I'm not sure how they do that. It's not like a consistent month or anything.
Yeah, the timeline also of Miguel getting better. It was the first day of school, so it was what, September?
Yeah,
like the tournament is December like by December 19th, which was the fight scene in the LaRusso house. He was fighting again. Like realistically, how
that's about like 3 or 4 months of recovery. So
really fast recovery.
Yeah.
So by the time the tournament rolls around again, like it'll have been less than a year since he had surgery.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that one's gonna go. I don't know if he should. I kind of agree with Carmen. I feel like he shouldn't be fighting in it.
Yeah, I saw. When Kreese was putting up the poster on the wall, I'm trying to remember what the date was for that tournament.
They don't make any sense.
December 19th.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh wait, which time? I don't know. I don't know.
The 51st annual.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm not sure.
I need to look back at that, but yeah.
I don't remember what the date was either. It might be May again. Like maybe they moved it to May. It used to be December, now it's May. I don't know.
Yeah, they could have done that.
Yeah.
It's been 30 something years since
Yeah.
the first one.
They probably changed it up a bit.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens. As you know, feeling very protective over my good buddy Miguel. I feel like he shouldn't be fighting. He has another year. He doesn't need to try to push himself. And like realistically, for people who are recovering from injuries like that, like I hope they play it realistically and not like super made for TV. Because everything else in the show has been like a very good exaggeration of realistic events. I don't want Robbie to win. I really don't. Like, I don't want him to win for Cobra Kai. Like, if he is like turns around and decides he's gonna fight for the good guys, sure, cool, you can win. Like, that's fine. But no, you're right. I think the story needs Cobra Kai to win.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was definitely interesting seeing like, oh, Johnny's son is now the new Johnny for Kreese. Like basically that's how it's gonna go. And I feel like when I saw him in the gi and Johnny came in the finale and he's like, I can't fight you, like that's gonna be so hard to be like you have to fight him but like don't hurt, like it's so conflicting but like in him because he's like, this is my son but he's with the wrong person. So I think it's going to be also conflicting with that. Like, don't go too hard, but like, you know, he's going to go hard because he's been trained under Kreese. So it's like very conflicting.
It's super conflicting. I don't know how to feel about it. I also I feel like Robbie's mom needs to be more present in the next season. Because if anyone is gonna like turn him around, it's gonna be like, as much as she kind of like was an irresponsible mom, like that's the person he grew up with. Like that's he loves his mom, and I think he trusts her more than he trusts anybody else.
Yeah, definitely.
Another powerful woman, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see recovered Shannon doing her best to like help her son.
Yeah, she was doing amazing in this season too. She's like, I've been doing so much better, like going through this rehab and everything, and I felt like really good like for her. I was like, get it, girl, like you're getting there. You're not in this slump anymore. You have people who are there to help you. And the fact that Robbie felt safe with her, I feel like can he might be able to feel that same way in the future. So maybe like you were saying, like she could turn him around. That's a good insight.
All right. Any final thoughts on anything Cobra Kai related?
Super excited to see where next season goes. It's been doing great. And it was great talking with you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
You guys want to plug all of your, where we can find you and all your social media and your content and stuff before we go?
Yeah. So the Karate Gals on YouTube. We're most popular on Instagram, so at the Karate Gals on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on here and talking.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for inviting us. We loved every moment of it.